Guys, when you come back in, can you just say here? I'm sorry, the stream got canceled. It said I had copyrighted sounds, but I'm not playing music or doing anything. So I don't know why it kicked me off. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Camilla. Nothing. Brandon, how are you? How's school going? Hey, Carlos. Hey, Nathaniel. Okay, Brandon, I'll give you a call later today, okay? All right, guys, again, I don't really know what kicked me off, so I'm going to try to watch what I'm talking about, but we have a vocabulary test tomorrow, so the first 5 minutes should be spent practicing for that. So in the chat, there's a link where you should practice. Miss Sui is taking attendance, so if you guys could make sure you're saying here in the chat. All right. Hopefully, yeah, I had to end it, Carlos. It said that it ended it because I did something that was copyrighted, but I'm not playing any music and I don't know what could have been copyrighted. All right, so today, guys, we're going to study for vocab. We're going to read the last couple pages of our section of The Outsiders. We'll review questions 2 and 3 from yesterday, talking about the actions of soda and the actions of dairy. We'll read a little bit more, and then we'll answer the last question and our exit ticket. Okay? You think my shirt is copyrighted? It's just Ocean City. Should I cover it up? It's not like I'm wearing like a Gucci shirt or something. Justin, why are you here? You have another class right now. You're funny. Nathaniel, you're studying. I'm waiting till my timer on my live stream hits 5 minutes, but the first 5 is studying your vocab. Justin, you should watch the stream later today when you have reading class, which is not right now. Brandon, if you want to study the vocab, the link is right here if you want to practice with us. We have a quiz tomorrow. That's sad. All right, guys, a few more seconds. And I know only 13 people are logged in. So if you are talking to anyone that's not logged in, please tell them to get here. Because out of these 13 people, we have Brandon and Justin here, and they're not even in our class. All right, it is 5 minutes into class, so I'm going to just keep things moving. You guys should open your notes from day 2. So if you need to pause this, if you're watching this later, you can pause to open up The Outsiders, day 2. All right, As we click through, guys, your second slide asked you to write about a person who was supportive, happy-go-lucky, and not interested in school. You should have wrote at least 10 lines about somebody who either supports you, someone who is carefree and fun and energetic, or someone who does not really care for going to school. So hopefully you did that. You should check that while you're clicking through. Next up, we skipped the question number 1. We're going to wait till we get some other texts available to us about the author. Number 1 asked you, how are the boys described similar to the author? We know that S.E. Hinton wrote this text when she was a teenager. She lived in a similar town. So we do have information about her, but I just said we should skip 1 for the moment so we have more text to look at. Yesterday, you guys mostly read about Steve, Two-Bit, Dallas, and Johnny. And you should have wrote a piece of text evidence for each person. So for Steve, a lot of you wrote about his interest in cars and that he could steal things. You also should have wrote that Steve does not like Ponyboy. Ponyboy is a tag along to Steve and Soda Pop. Next, we have Two-Bit. We should have talked about his humor. The fact that he does enjoy going to school, but it's mostly for attention. Especially he likes attention from girls. Yep, we're still on day 2. I'm just kind of talking through what we should have filled in already. Next up, we have Dallas. You guys should have cited evidence that he had gone to prison. That is probably the biggest thing that sets him apart from other characters. And finally, we have Johnny. You should have cited that he had some type of abuse. He was jumped by the Socs, and he also was beat by his parents, right? His dad beat him, and his mom was verbally abusive. Okay, so that was most of our class yesterday. Some of you filled your entire page with tons of great text evidence that I saw. All right, problem. So what was a problem you guys should have filled in for, it says P Jots. Did anyone have a problem they want to share out with the class in our chat and tell us what's going on with the life of the greasers right now? What are they facing? Wilson asked in the chat, what about Steve again? So Wilson, in the future, right, when this gets posted, you could just like pause and go back and listen, but I'll say it again now. So for Steve, we should have wrote that he doesn't like Ponyboy, that he's good with cars, and that he steals things. But you guys should have found text evidence for that. All right, keep moving, guys. Keep scrolling down. What problems do you see in this portion of our text? Yesterday, all we mostly got was background about our characters, but what problems kind of emerged there? You need the text. I'm putting it in the chat. So think about the boys we talked about yesterday. What problems were they facing? We have Steve, Two-Bit, Dallas, Johnny. What kinds of things do they encounter as a character? All right, well, I'll move on from it, but you should have kind of looked at that last night. So I would definitely touch on things like spending time in jail, being abused by family members, having bad experiences with school. You can literally cite from each character something probably that's bad that they have dealt with, right? That's a problem. They're coming from these difficult backgrounds, but somehow they're finding each other and supporting each other along the way. All right, this is where we left off yesterday. We left off at I wiped my eyes hurriedly. I'm going to read from page 11 to page 13. As I read, You guys should be checking your text evidence for these two questions. And I put them in. We are listening for how Soda reacted to Ponyboy getting jumped and how Derry reacts. Okay, it's a big difference. We should be able to cite evidence about that difference. Right? Then the last question you had to answer was, how does Ponyboy view Derry? So based on how his brother reacts, we know that Ponyboy feels a certain way about Derry. All right, here we go. So right after, on page 11, after we hear about Johnny, we're starting at I wiped my eyes. So if you're following along, I'm gonna keep putting the link in the chat. I wiped my eyes hurriedly. Did you catch him? Nope, they got away this time. The dirty. Two-Bit went on cheerfully, calling the Socs every name he could think of or make up. Are the kids okay? I'm okay. I try to think of something to say. I'm usually pretty quiet around people, even the gang. I changed the subject. I didn't know you were out of the cooler yet, Dally. Usually, guys, I stop here and we talk about the meaning of cooler. So let's think about that. If Dallas is in the cooler, what is that? Where do we know that Dallas was? Good, Dennis. He was in the jail, not in the fridge, Carlos. All right. Good behavior. Got off early. Dallas lit a cigarette and handed it to Johnny. Everyone sat down to have a smoke and relax. A smoke always lessens the tension. I'd quit trembling and my color was back. The cigarette was calming me down. Two-Bit cocked an eyebrow. Nice looking bruise you got there, kid. I touched my cheek gingerly. Really? Two-Bit nodded sagely. Nice cut, too. Makes you look tough. Tough and tough are two different words. So tough, spelled Tough, it's the same as rough. Tuff, tough, means cool or sharp, like a tough looking Mustang or a tough record. In our neighborhood, both are compliments. Steve flicked his ashes at me. What were you doing walking by your lonesome? Leave it to good old Steve to bring up something like that. I was coming home from the movies. I didn't think. You don't ever think, Derry broke in. Not at home or anywhere when it counts. You must think at school with all those good grades you bring home. And you've always got your nose in a book, but you never use your head for common sense. No sirree, bub. And if you did have to go by yourself, you should have carried a blade. All right, so we get to our first reaction here. How does Derry react to Ponyboy walking by himself? What line kind of hit you guys the hardest? Disco is Julia. And I don't know why she's here, but she's hanging out. Good, Dennis. He is angry. What's the line that he says though that kind of hits you? Is anyone following along in the text that I keep putting a link to? Okay, no, he does say that his nose is always in a book, but I don't think that's the upset part. Let's think about how can we tell that Derry is upset. We're on page 12, Julia. I think, yeah, the first line, I think, Dennis, you're right. That really hits me hard too. So if someone said to you, like, you don't ever think, that's pretty rough, right? If you go down a little bit further too, he says, like, you don't ever use your head for common sense. I can't imagine an older sibling kind of saying that to me. I think that would really hurt my feelings too. All right, let's listen for Soda Pop's reaction because that's also what we're looking for this problem. I just stared at a hole in my tennis shoe. Me and Derry just didn't dig each other. I never could please him. He would have hollered at me for carrying a blade if I had carried one. If I brought home B's, he wanted A's. If I got A's, he wanted to make sure they stayed A's. If I was playing football, I should be studying. And if I was reading, I should be out playing football. He never hollered at Soda Pop, not even when Soda dropped out of school or got tickets for speeding. He just hollered at me. Soda was glaring at him. Leave my kid brother alone, you hear? It ain't his fault he likes to go to the movies. It ain't his fault socials like to jump us. And if he had been carrying a blade, it would have been a good excuse to cut him to ribbons. All right, Soda Pop's response, guys. Anybody in our chat? Soda wants to go easy and be not too harsh on Ponyboy. Yeah, we should cite on page 12 from that first line, right? Leave my brother alone. It's not his fault. All right, let's keep going. Soda always takes up for me. Harry said impatiently, when I want my kid brother to tell me what to do with my other kid brother, I'll ask you, kid brother. But he laid off me. He always does when Soda Pop tells him to, most of the time. Yes, Wilson. Soda is like the kinder brother. I think about a lot. I have the experience of being a twin, right? And my brother and I don't always really get along well, but if it came to an argument with other siblings or with a parent, my brother is like the first person to be like, leave her alone. And I hope all of you have someone in your family that kind of is the same way, right? So Soda kind of diffuses any other fights between Ponyboy and Derry. Okay. Next time, get one of us to go with you, Ponyboy, 2-Bit said. Any of us will. All right, this is our last page. Speaking of movies, Dally yawned, flipping a cigarette butt. I'm walking over to the Nightly Double tomorrow night. Anybody want to come and hunt some action? What do you guys think hunt some action means? Dally wants to go to a drive-in movie theater. What would he find at a drive-in movie theater? Does anyone want to come hunt some action? Not food. Couples making out in the car. Yeah, Wilson's the closest. So Dallas wants to go talk to girls, and he's asking if anyone wants to come with him. There's a lot of terms in this book that I feel like you have to stop and figure it out because nobody talks like that anymore. I don't think anyone goes to their friends and says, hey, you want to hunt some action? All right. Steve shook his head. Me and Soda are picking up Evie and Sandy for the game. So Steve says he can't go because him and Soda Pop have girlfriends that they're going to hang out with. He didn't need to look at me the way he did right then. I was going to ask if I could come. I never tell Soda because he likes Steve a lot, but sometimes I can't stand Steve Randall. I mean, sometimes I hate him. Barry sighed, just like I knew he would. Barry never had time to do anything anymore. I'm working tomorrow night. Sally looked at the rest of us. How about y'all? 2-Bit? Johnny Cake? You and Pony want to come? Me and Johnny will come, I said. I knew Johnny wouldn't open his mouth unless he was forced to. 'Kay, Derry?" "Yeah, since it ain't a school night." Derry was real good about letting me go places on the weekends. On school nights, I could hardly leave the house. "I was planning on getting boozed up tomorrow night," Two-Bit said. "If I don't, I'll walk over and find y'all." Steve was looking at Dally's hand. His ring, which he had rolled a drunk senior to get, was back on his finger. "Did you break up with Sylvia again?" "Yeah, and this time it's for good. The little broad was two-timing me while I was in jail." I thought of Sylvia and Evie and Sandy and Two-Bits, many blondes. They were the only kind of girls that would look at us, I thought. Tough, loud girls who wore too much makeup and giggled and swore too much. All right. I'm gonna stop because it says on page 13 to stop, so we can answer, make sure 2 and 3 are answered. So number 2, we were supposed to explain how Soda and Derry reacted to Ponyboy's mistake. So as long as you guys cite some level of anger from Derry and some level of kindness from Soda, I think you guys can handle that question. If you scroll through the chat, we did cite 2 pieces of text evidence from page 12. The last one, we need to make an inference about how Pony feels about his brother Derry. So after that interaction, guys, how do you think Pony thinks of his older brother? Again, this was on page 12. He thinks that he is mean. Yeah. I might also push you guys to kind of talk about, um, especially when you have siblings, guys, a lot of people think that maybe one sibling is treated better than another. So, again, in this scene on page 12, Pony talks about how Soda never gets in trouble. Soda dropped out of school. Soda, he gets tickets. He also doesn't really use his head, but Pony gets yelled at the most. And there's probably a lot of reasons for that, but Pony doesn't really understand. Pony is younger. Pony is getting good grades. I can understand why Derry might be strict with him, but Ponyboy doesn't understand. All right. That takes us to question number 4. Now we are supposed to read, it says at the top for question 4, we're supposed to read page 14 to 18. So I'm going to keep reading, but we are listening for what is the author trying to reveal about the brothers on these pages. Okay, so far we kind of see Derry is revealed to be more of like a parent figure. Pony has to ask him if he can go out. And Soda Pop, I don't really see much revealed about him yet, besides the fact that he has a girlfriend. And that he sticks up for his brother. So let's keep listening for what is revealed about the brothers. We are on page 13 at the bottom now. I'll put the link again in the chat if you're not reading along with us. All right. I liked Soda's girl Sandy just fine. Her hair was natural blonde and her laugh was soft, like her china blue eyes. She didn't have a real good home or anything and was our kind, a greaser. But she was a real nice girl. Still, sometimes I wondered what other girls were like. The girls who were bright-eyed and had their dresses a decent length and acted as if they would spit on us if given the chance. Some were afraid of us, and remembering Dallas Winston, I don't blame them. But most looked at us like we were dirt. They gave us the same kind of look that the Socias did when they came when we came by their Mustangs or Corvairs and yelled grease at us. I wondered about them. The girls, I mean. Did they cry when their boys were arrested, called in, or did they run out on them the way that Sylvia did Dallas? Maybe their boys didn't get arrested or beaten up or busted up in rodeos. I was still thinking about it while I was doing my homework that night. I had to read Great Expectations for English, and the kid Pip, he reminded me of us, the way he felt marked lousy because he wasn't a gentleman or anything, and the way that girl kept looking down on him. That happened to me once. One time in biology, I had to dissect a worm with a razor that wouldn't cut, so I used my switchblade. The minute I flicked it out, I forgot what I was doing and or I never would have done it. The girl right beside me kind of gasped and said, "They are right. You are a hood." That didn't make me feel so hot. There were a lot of socials in that class. I get put into A classes because I'm supposed to be smart. Most of them thought it was pretty funny. I didn't, though. She was a cute girl. She looked real good in yellow. Yep, we're on number 4 now, Carlos. We're just listening for more evidence about uh, Dairy, Soda Pop, and Pony as like a family here. All right, we're on the bottom of 14. We deserve a lot of trouble, I thought. Dallas deserves everything he gets and should get worse if you want the truth. And Two-Bit, he doesn't really want or need half the things he swipes from stores. He just thinks it's fun to swipe everything that isn't nailed down. I can understand why Soda Pop and Steve get into drag races and fights. Both of them have too much energy, too much feeling, with no way to blow it off. Rub harder, Soda, I heard Derry mumbling. You're gonna put me to sleep. I looked through the door, and Soda Pop was giving Derry a back rub. Derry's always pulling his muscles. He roofs houses, and he's always trying to carry 2 bundles of roofing up the ladder. I knew Soda would put him to sleep because Soda can put anyone out when he sets his head to. He thought Derry worked too hard. I did too. Okay, this seems like some evidence we could pull for number 4, guys. So what do we learn about Derry and Soda Pop? Soda is doing what in this scene? So hopefully you guys can copy and paste from page 15, but some takeaways that I'm seeing is, again, this family is kind of supportive of each other, especially Soda. Yeah, he's definitely helpful, Dennis. Nathaniel, no, we skipped number 1 for today. It's okay, Leslie. The video will be available online the rest of today, so you can rewatch it. Yeah, so Soda giving Derry a back rub shows like being kind and helpful and supporting his brother. Also, the line that says that Derry's always trying to carry all this stuff up to roof a house. He's really hardworking. We're on number 4, Ashley. And if you're reading with me, we are on the bottom of 15. Derry didn't deserve to work like an old man when he was only 20. He'd been a real popular guy in school. He was the captain of the football team. He'd been voted Boy of the Year, but we just didn't have the money for him to go to college, even with the athletic scholarship that he won. And now he didn't have time between jobs to even think about college. So he never went anywhere and never did anything anymore, except work out in gyms and go skiing with his friends sometimes. So more stuff is revealed to us about Derry, guys. What could have Derry had the opportunity to do? Yeah, Ashley. Yeah, Julia. So if we're gonna say evidence, right? And it's not even that he was academically or athletically great. He was, but socially, I think this is a good point too. Being popular, being well liked, even though they were poor, he had this ability to be friends with everybody. And I think Derry had that potential to be really successful anywhere, but he kind of gives everything up to stay home to raise his brothers. So the evidence that I think I chose was on 15. So he has a lot of opportunity, but he has to leave it behind. So kind of makes the reader appreciate Derry's character a little bit more. All right. I rubbed my cheek where it had turned purple. I looked in the mirror and it did make me look tough, but Derry made me put a band aid on the cut. I remember how awful Johnny had looked when he got beaten up. I had just as much right to use the streets as the Socias did, and Johnny never hurt them. Why did the Socias hate us so much? We left them alone. I nearly went to sleep over my homework trying to figure it out. Soda Pop, who jumped into bed at this time, yelled sleepily for me to turn off the light and go to bed. When I finished the chapter I was on, I did. Lying beside Soda, staring at a wall, I remember the faces of the Socias as they surrounded me. The blue Madras shirt the blonde was wearing, and I could still hear a thick voice. Need a haircut, greaser? I shivered. You cold, pony boy? A little, I lied. Soda threw one arm across my neck. He mumbled something drowsily. Listen, kiddo, when Derry hollers at you, he don't mean nothing. He's just got more worries than someone his age ought to. Don't take him serious, you dig, pony? Don't let him bug you. He's really proud of you 'cause you're so brainy. It's just 'cause you're the baby. I mean, he loves you. A lot. Savvy? Again, this could be evidence you guys use for number 4. This is on page 16. So again, what's revealed about the brothers is that despite, fighting with each other or having different perspectives, they do really love each other. And Soda is a good voice for that. Sure, I said, trying for Soda's sake to keep the sarcasm out of my voice. Soda? Yeah. How come you dropped out? I never have gotten over that. I could hardly stand it when you left school. 'Cause I'm dumb. The only things I was passing anyway was auto mechanics and gym. You're not dumb. Yeah, I am. Shut up and I'll tell you something. Don't tell Derry though. Okay. I think I'm gonna marry Sandy. After she gets out of school and I get a better job and everything. I might wait till you get out of school though, so I can help Derry with the bills and stuff. Enough. Wait wait till I get out though, so you can keep Derry off my back. Don't be like that kid. I told you he don't mean half of what he says. You in love with Sandy? What's that like? Hmm. He sighed happily. It's real nice. In a moment his breathing was light and regular. I turned my head to look at him in the moonlight. He looked like some Greek god had come to earth. I wondered how he could stand being so handsome. Then I sighed. I didn't quite get what he meant about Derry. Derry thought I was just another mouth to feed, somebody to holler at. Derry loved me. I thought of those hard, pale eyes. Soda was wrong for once, I thought. Derry doesn't love anything, or anyone, except maybe Soda. I didn't hardly think of him as being human. I don't care. I lied to myself. I don't care about him either. Soda's enough, and I have him until I got out of school. I don't care about Derry, but I was still lying, and I knew it. I lie to myself all the time, but I never believe me. Oof. Okay, we did it with 15 minutes to spare, which is perfect. So that gives you enough time to do your exit ticket. Our question is, how does the author reveal Soda Pop's character? So we should consider all of the moments in this chapter where we learn things about Soda Pop, right? Let's start with our answer here. So when we think of Soda Pop, what adjectives can you guys come up with to describe him? Anybody? When you think of soda pop, what words come to your head? Yeah, he stands up for his brother. Yeah, kind, caring. I use the word kind, and then I kind of went off what Jonathan said. I'm gonna say supportive, right? Sticking up for a sibling is showing some level of support. All right. Oh, I typed too many words in the chat. Hold on. So if you want to set up your exit ticket in the chat, I have your restate and answer on one line, and then I have the setup for the rest of your response. So you guys should come up with either some dialogue or some actions that Soda made in this section that show he is supporting, especially Pony Boy, right? We have him giving Derry a back massage. That's a good action. But we also have this scene at the end where they're laying in bed, putting your arm over your sibling. You know, that's definitely another action that shows support. There's tons of dialogue. There's tons of things Soda says that show his brothers that he loves them. Okay. So we finished chapter 1. Tomorrow you guys have 5 vocab words you're responsible for. So go back and check the list tonight. Make sure you're ready for that. And then to be honest, I probably will give you a chapter 1 reading check tomorrow. So let me give you the link for that so you can study tonight in the chat. We're going to go back to the good old Spark Notes. Thank you, Justin, for saying pizza rolls. And thank you to, the 15 people that showed up for this live stream. I'm going to try to do I'll record one tonight for tomorrow's lesson, and I'll post one YouTube video each day so all 3 classes can watch it, okay? No, Justin, I will go look at it right when this is done, okay? Oh, actually, guys, so we're not going to take the Outsiders quiz until we finish chapter 2, but if you want to start studying for that, the link is right here. Yeah, Miss Sui, I only see 15 people have logged in to Google Classroom. So I have Ashley, Aaliyah, Angie, Noe, Dennis, Gabby, Steph, Nathaniel, Carlos, Wilson, Jonathan, Zaya, Marianne, and Leslie. Yeah, Brandon, what's up? I told you I will, okay, bud? Zaya, you're here too. Yep. Guys, just keep in mind with going on to YouTube for these, you're going to need to write in Google Classroom that you are here. So we are missing a good amount for people from NYU. Yeah, Brandon, I will later on today, okay? All right, guys, I'm ending the stream so I can post it for Pace and Columbia. Thank you for your help with today's lesson in the chat. I hope that other students find that helpful when they're working through stuff today. And tune in tomorrow to my channel.